U.S. firebrand used his time in France to shower the leader with compliments, telling the cameras that Emmanuel Macron is perfect and they share a very special relationship. And only seconds into the three-day visit, Mr. Macron surprised his American counterpart by going in for a double kiss after. The pair firmly shook hands, but, despite the apparent bromance, Mr. Trump refused to offer his guest any concessions over the ongoing situation in Syria, the Iran nuclear deal or U.S. trade tariffs, despite Mr. Macron plotting to butter the U.S. president up to get his own way. Mr. Macron's failure to make a dent on any of his policy plans with the U.S. leader leaves the EU-U.S. relationship hanging in the balance. Getty. Trump and Macron put on a close display of friendship. The French leader was expected to urge Donald Trump to salvage the 2015 Iran nuclear deal, which the U.S. leader wants to withdraw the United States from unless European powers strengthen its terms. Announcing a new deal, known as JCPOA, Mr. Macron said he would expand and address the U.S. concerns it was flawed. He said, "I always said we should not tear apart the JCPOA and have nothing else. We're not going to tear up an accord to go nowhere. We're going to build a new accord that's broader." But Mr. Trump failed to budge on his initial position, and would not offer any insight, instead turning to Mr. Macron to say, "I'm not going to say what I'll do, even if you have an inkling." Instead, the U.S. leader said the deal that should never have been done, blaming previous administrations' efforts to resolve the standoff with Iran. And over the ongoing issue in Syria, Mr. Macron claimed he had convinced the U.S. leader to keep his troops on the ground for a longer period. However, in stark contrast, Mr. Trump said he wanted to get them out, but he would not let troops leave right away. Getty. Trump failed to make any concessions to Macron, and on trade tariffs, both men recognized the need for reciprocity in trade, but Mr. Trump again failed to make any permanent commitments. Mr. Macron's aide told politics news site Politico.co.uk that the French president said, "We cannot conceive of a trade war among allies, but France would only discuss trade in concert with Europe." Speaking of Mr. Trump, the aide added, "There was a desire to understand our concerns, to take them into account." News, World, 950,604. Donald Trump. Emmanuel Macron use France state visit.